Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Quality of Life show. We're streaming live from a cloudy Tucson, Arizona, and I'm Lisa Smith.
And I'm Nancy Reed.
Together, we are the mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, as well as Parks and Travel magazine, and you can see them both. Just go to bigblendmagazines.com. And the winter issue of Parks and Travel just came out, 1st of January. Really has a bunch of good stuff in there. You've got to check it out.
That's a big issue.
Yeah, it covers all our news stories for our Love Your Parks tour, where Nancy and I are on this mission to visit and cover every single park in the country. So there it is.
See, I'm already going world.
I know. But today we're not talking about parks. We're going to talk about romance. We have an awesome guest joining us. We have Jane Benz joining us. She's going to talk about her memoir, Broken Hole. It's really candid and gets right down to what it's like to date after divorce and as a single parent. I sat up for 3 nights reading all the good, bad, and the ugly. It's a funny book. She just gets to the heart of it. Jane is an English composition instructor and recipient of the Jack Kerouac Award for Prose. The book was published, Broken Hole again. It was published by She Writes Press. And it's available on Amazon, BNN, IndieBound, all those great places. But I say go to her website, get connected with her blog, her social media, Facebook, Twitter. Go to JaneBinnsWrites.com, and that's Jane, B-I-N-N-S, JaneBinnsWrites.com. Welcome, Jane. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Oh, we're doing good. It's a little cloudy here in Tucson, but you're up in Colorado, right?
Yes. I'm in Denver, and we did have some clouds today, but it was still a balmy 55, so.
Oh, balmy, no.
Oh. Yeah.
It's weird. The Southwest is having some interesting weather this year, but, you know.
No, I want sun.
I know. But anyway, we've had snow. We're going to have the biggest wildflower season
ever
that's been around for a while.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And Tucson, Arizona, from what I read in your book, Broken Hole, with a certain Steve, that Tucson and wildflowers was a camping destination for you guys.
Oh.
Yes, in early April. Yes, it was the prime time for watching those flowers bloom and all of the wonders of that time of year.
So I had to bring up Steve because he is like the constant through your book, your memoir, and so he's constant, and we're going to get to him, but let's start at the beginning, because this was a period of time that you wrote this, your memoir, in a series of essays pretty much, right? What led you to write about dating in your life? I know that you divorced your husband. Did you start it at that point? What led you to that?
I started it about a year and a half after I was divorced, and I wrote it primarily. In the beginning, it was to give myself a map of what was I doing, having a conversation with myself about these experiences, and I was really kind of a mess. So writing was very helpful, and initially it was just, again, a way to help myself through these things. And the more I shared the stories with friends of mine and women who were going through the same thing, they were just like, you have to write this. You have to, this has to be a book. Is that going in the book? When are you going to be done? And so
yeah, because you've always been involved in writing, and, this is the thing, too, that you're just really honest. I mean, brutally honest. You talk about, everything in there. And so I think for women picking this up, and I think men should read it and get some instruction. Just
yes, there was a friend of mine from Naropa. He's been a long-time fan of my writing, and he said that, I'll never look at myself the same. I really learned a lot from your book, and I think men should read this too. When I read it, I thought, oh, this is going to be an epic women's book, but he said, no, there's a lot of value in here for men as well. So
hey, it takes two to tango.
Exactly.
Yes. And so there's
women in there too.
I know you can have a relationship with yourself, about yourself, but when you're talking about other people, then you're talking about male and female, other people. A relationship usually involves two people.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah.
That's something that
we're not just standing there alone.
Well, that's the thing, in your dating, being with someone like, married, and then suddenly off you are going in the world of dating, and plus having a child, being a single parent, that's a whole other thing too. It's like, how far do you go? How do you balance that out? Wasn't that a part of, the difficulty is how to balance those relationships out and then explain it, and when do you bring the dude into your life for everyone to know, all of that.
Yes, exactly. And that, for the most part, my son was, none the wiser, and, I had a 50-50 co-parenting arrangement with my ex-husband, my son's father, so, I was very protective of my son. In fact, that was an issue with a couple of the men, and they didn't last long. And that they wanted to meet my son, and within a couple of dates, and I said, no way. Are you kidding me? This is not a good idea. We barely know each other, and to bring our kids together, it's just too many false pretenses, and trying to make something that I really was uncertain about and felt a very big need to steer away from. So.
I think that's really wise, because there is that kind of pressure from family members and from, it's like, okay, you were married and settled, and then you're divorced and unsettled, and everybody wants you to get settled again.
Exactly, and
that's a lot of pressure. And it's
that
no,
did not happen
really.
for me.
Wow.
Well, what I like too is you talk about the flags, and then how we know the flags, and there's this part of us that ignore the red flags. It's just. And then later you're like, yeah, I had the flag. I had more than one flag.
You see them, but you go, okay, but maybe
I'm
wrong.
You can't date potential, but we all do.
Right,
at
right, yeah. There are stories we tell ourselves about, okay, well, maybe I can work with this, and we'll just see what happens. And then, we see what happens turns into 3 or 6 months or something like that, and then you get used to all of the fictions until you don't anymore, and then it's, I got to get out of here now. So.
Well, you went into the world of online dating, which I personally have never done. Nancy has. Nancy's a mom. She gets to do stuff like that.
It took me like all of one time to go, screw that.
I know, but when you did it, this was way back when. But now,
really funny.
And you too. I mean, Jane, when you started doing this, it was not like what it is now. I mean,
no, it was different, and. I have to say, though, there's still the same amount of mystery that the fictions that people write up about themselves, and then when you actually meet them, or if you do, there's a lot of game playing, and that has not changed at all. So.
Yeah. And how does Facebook play into this? Stalk each other out on Facebook?
Oh, ew.
I believe so. That has not been my experience. I hear about it, but that I don't know if that just gives me shivers. So,
I think it's safer to meet somebody within your circle of family, friends, acquaintances, and going to places of things you enjoy,
right.
Like subjects you enjoy.
Yeah.
And then other people are there that obviously have the same interest as you, or they wouldn't be there. So online dating is too easy to say, oh, I love walks on the beach.
Exactly. Yes, there's a lot of room for facades to be created there in the online
I mean, who
environment.
doesn't like a walk on the beach?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I hate sand in my shoes on my sandals.
Well, I mean, do you still do online dating? Just in everybody,
No.
1-800 call Jane. No.
No. I mean, I've done it in the last few years, but not recently. So,
Yeah.
and you know, I'll say this: there are many more programs out there, many more sites. You know, you've got things for Christian singles now, and that wasn't there before.
Farmers.
Right, and you know, 15 years ago, when most of the book takes place, there was Match and eHarmony, and maybe a few others, but now, you know, you can basically pick your age group or something.
Dr. Phil used to talk about Match.com all the time on his shows. I thought, what are you doing?
He used to watch Dr. Phil.
Oh, yeah. Remember when we were in that one hotel? That's the only thing you could get was Dr. Phil?
Dr. Phil, and then there was
like
always that. Do you remember the TV commercial with the matchmaker guy, and he'd come in like, I'm your shrink, and I'm going to take care of you. You know, it's like a grandfather shrink. Sorry, that's therapist would be the word.
What do you?
Excuse
you were in
me.
a different room.
But anyway, no, that commercial of the matchmaker, and he would come in the website, you know, the dating website, and be like, now everybody, this is I promise to match you up, you know.
That's so fun.
He looked like he could marry somebody right there and then. I don't know.
Right.
You know, it's. I don't know.
But we don't watch that kind of TV.
I know, but it's interesting because it's a cool way of people connecting. So, but you did a lot also through like your church organizations and parties and dressing up for Halloween. I want to know about your costume making, by the way. Apparently, like we need to hang out with you on Halloween because you know how to make rad costumes.
Well, I'm very practical. I look at what I have in my closet, and then I go from there. I mean, the scene in the book when I make the G chord. I had a ton of boxes lying around because I had just moved, and I had some black clothing, and I thought, okay, I will be a musical note or chord. And so it was easy enough to make a sandwich board, and off I went.
That's funny.
We've done some interesting things like that too. I love that part of the book, and you know, it's no, I mean, but these
there's the best costume is if you go and get boxes, and you could be a robot, and you get a big box to go over your body, right?
Right.
And you cut holes in it so your arms and the end of the box, the open part of the box is where your legs are. So you cut a hole for your head and your arms, and then you get a small box to go over your head.
Yeah.
And then you just paint the boxes and you glue really weird things on them, like knobs and stuff. It's funny.
I remember back in the days when we lived in Kenya. I was a kid, and Nancy was married to my stepdad. His name was Dave. And, you know, so you have a small group of Americans and British and, like, all expats.
Oh, man.
And that all celebrated Halloween because it's another reason to everybody get together and have a party. So no one really cared about Halloween, but it was like, let's drink rum.
Half of them didn't even know.
So anyway, you made him dress up as Dave, the cardboard box from the Gong Show. With a cardboard box on him.
The boxes on Halloween. What?
I know. And now you're divorced.
Is there a corollary? Can you know?
I guess
is there cause and effect?
I don't know. Maybe I boxed people in.
I don't know, but Nancy in the boxes. But let's talk about that because going to these events, you know, you started to know all these different people in the groups, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, now I kind of like you, and then later you go, oopsie. So is it which one was better for you in the end? Do you think? Like, is it going to those events and getting to know people that way,
or versus online, or
or dating online?
Well, the events are That's always an interesting thing. I mean, Halloween parties or whatnot, that, a lot of people milling around, and not too many people have shown up by themselves, so they're already coupled off, and then there's music playing, so having a conversation with someone or even approaching someone can be a little tricky. The online, you kind of get to know them a little bit if you correspond with them enough online and get a sense of their voice through their writing or lack thereof. It's hard for me to say. I mean, it's something like where the intention is to interact with somebody, like a volleyball game, or where the people, you're spending an afternoon and maybe teams are switching up and you're getting to know somebody that way.
Yeah.
So it depends on the social event, I suppose. It's just not 1950 anymore.
Do you have a way, like if you see somebody that you think is single, that you're like, that looks pretty good, do you have an approach?
I am really terrible at that. Yes, no, I don't. I think I do. I'll tell myself a little script before I approach somebody, and then I don't know. Then along comes the woman he's come with.
Oh yeah, exactly. And there's, I mean, how many times there's that thing where you think the guy is into you, and he gives you every sign, and then here comes the woman, and you're like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Oh no, I'm just being friendly. Bull.
Yeah. Right. No, he's confused, and he's seeing what his options are.
Exactly. This could be better. You don't know, or it's funny.
Well, one guy you dated, was you went on that big long walk with him, and everything was like really cool, and then he was like, well, okay, I'm bored now. I'm on to the next one. You know what I mean? He was just like, that's it, I'm done. And it was like a really cool relationship. And then it's just like, okay, one day it's like, I think I'm going to go with somebody else now.
Right.
And that flippancy. And so there's this difference between men and women. Men can be flippant that way.
They're just visiting
but if you do it to them, if you do it to them, then they're like, what? And you tell them, like, this isn't going well, we need to fix this, and then all of a sudden you're like, that's it, I'm done. They're like in shock. So there's this weird balance between us all on that.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. And men have the privilege of being noncommittal and floaty, whereas women are always assumed to be wanting to attach. And I don't know if these are primal instincts or what. I've often thought about that. And it's like, look, I don't want to have any more kids.
No,
really, I don't.
It's nature.
And I don't need you to go out there and hunt for me. And I'm capable, So
it's nature. The male species in nature is supposed to make sure that the female gets pregnant and has children so the species can continue.
Right.
So the primal instinct is to just spread it around. Because
But what happens when you're done with all of that? I mean, so can we be in the 21st century with partnerships and friendships and companionship and those things?
Yeah, it's. I think I don't know if we're supposed to be together forever, because we're living longer.
Right.
Right? And think about it. I mean, it's true. We're living longer, and I think there's a percentage of people that meet and will be together until the end, right?
Right.
I think there's always going to be that percentage, but I don't believe that we're supposed to be like the swans and the doves. I think
they don't live as long as we do.
I think we can.
No, they don't.
Twirl around and I don't know and don't coupling and all that. I mean, biologically, it's the nature wants you to procreate and reproduce, And then we have this hormonal thing that happens on top of that, which is part of that, but it's like, dude, enough now. So
Right.
I mean, I don't mean to be doomsday, but I think it's okay to not be with somebody for the rest of your life.
Nature doesn't care once you've procreated.
Yeah, if you've reproduced,
nature doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's like off on your own then.
Yeah, and if you haven't reproduced, nature keeps going like, you need to, and I'm like, no.
And then eventually goes, you're too late, and then now it doesn't care about you anymore.
Yeah, when I was in my 30s, in your book set in your 30s too, it's like
right.
all my dude friends were like, all of a sudden you'd be friends with them, and then all of a sudden they'd turn and look at you and go, oh crap, here we go, and they would give you the look, and you knew that was like, now you're trying to cross the friendship into that zone, and then it's like they want the kids, they want the whole thing, and it's like, I'm running the other way, snap out of it now, snap out of it. But there's that era of, and you went through that too, like suddenly, you must have another child.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I, honestly, right after my son was born, I really knew that I did not want to, go through another pregnancy. And, I mean, it wasn't a bad pregnancy or anything like that, but I was in labor for 3 days, and I was tired for 9.5, 10 months. I mean, I thought, whoa. How do people have 5 children? How do
Oh, don't even.
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
No. No, but I mean, God bless them.
Yes.
Those who want to and can and do, like, good for you. I mean, I to me, that's the hardest job in the world, is being a parent, and for a mom to go through that process, it's like, owie. That's why that's the number one reason I don't have children. It's like, I'm scared of that. I'll do anything to stay out of hospital, man, or anything like medical. But so now you've written a book, you've collected these essays, you put this together, your memoir. Putting the book together, did that bring any realizations to you? Did you learn anything through that process, even though you've learned all these lessons through all these escapades of dating and relationships? Did anything, kind of hit home for you putting this together, like as a finale in how you want to live your life?
That's a really good question. It did bring up a lot of things. I will admit to that. It was at least a year in going through, edits and getting the book ready for publication. And of course, I'm a naturally reflective person. I think that's obvious in the book. And, learning is one thing that I do reflexively, or at least I would hope so. But actually, getting the book published, it definitely, it came around resoundingly to, I don't want to live like that anymore at all.
Yeah.
And so I remember in a couple of other interviews, it's like, well, what now? Are you interested at all? And I said, you know what? I've spent so much of my adult life in the pursuit of a companion, or, trying to get that picture of family back together again, where there's, a male and me and and my son. And I thought, wow, I would like to spend time prioritizing things that I love to do, and then let the relationship thing come as it may. But
exactly.
Let that fall into second for a change, rather than, I have a lot of interests. Writing is one of them. I love to paint.
I love your watercolors.
Oh, thank
everybody, you. Go on Jane's website again, JaneBinsWrites.com, and that's BINNS, JaneBinsWrites.com, and you can see her art, and you've got gift cards and all kinds of cool things on there. But yeah, I think that's the essence from your book. Is, for me, it was like a coming of age. And whenever you say coming of age, it sounds like it's going to be like, someone a teenager or going in your 20s. But when you go through a divorce, it is like a new life. It's like starting again.
Right.
And that's what, and I think that you go from a life where you have this relationship, and then you kind of go like, that's what you're supposed to do next. you feel that like when it's like that's the way we were raised in a way, to go into
it's
that.
Scripted, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's not. Yeah.
With everything changing irreversibly, really, it just, I'm like, okay, I really do have a clean slate now. I do.
Nice.
Nothing is lingering or.
Yeah. Well, no, but you wanted to have that companionship quite a bit in your book, and I think we've all been there as human beings, whether it's male or female.
Right.
And everybody wants someone that they can talk to, have that feeling of someone gives a damn, someone
exactly,
cares.
Right.
We want that. We want that
I'm breathing
feeling.
today. Do you care?
Yeah. It's like, hello.
But there's all kinds of relationships.
Yeah, there is. And that's that's that finding that out. And I think you have to go through that process. And it was just, reading. And I when I turned 30, I just went, that's it, I'm done. I'm done. I on my birthday, I was that's it. I'm done. I've done enough of it. And that was it. Because it was like, this was like taking stock of my life, of what I really cared about, and realized that of course, if, Mr. Wonderful walks into my life, that's a different thing.
Right.
I think that's what, where you came to in where it's like, it's not like, no, we'll never have a relationship. It's knowing who you are and what you want and what's the most important thing in your life.
It's really about who Mr. Wonderful actually is.
Now I can go into the list.
See?
Right.
The list gets longer
of
the requirements.
Yes, and it gets more specific in some ways and more general in others. And I find, too, that now that I'm in my early 50s, I can relax. Okay, my son is 19. He's not little anymore. Not looking for a father figure or anything like that. All of that conditioning or programming of I have to have this, and the family pressure has been released. It's like, okay, well, we see that you are capable and have been doing this for a while now. We're going to stop asking.
But did your son read your memoir?
No. He I told him he can read it when I'm infirm or dead. And
oh my gosh. Okay.
So
oh my God. Well, no, because there's some really good juicy parts in there.
How do you keep him from reading it?
It's going to happen
one
day.
I can't. I mean, and honestly, in the last year or so, that was one of the things that I had to face. I'm like, this is happening now. This is not some little figment of your imagination, or this is real.
Yeah, because your book is real. There's no, no, you didn't code it. You just went for it. You went straight up, like, this is it. And you're like, I'm reading this going, oh my God, like OMG throughout the entire book, But it's but it's, I mean, so many of us go through all these different scenarios, and I'm like, and we go through the different sizes, we go through the different dating procedures, the talker, the non-talker, the double talker, the double dater. No, I know. But it is like that, and it's like when you're reading it, I'm like, God, I think so many people can, men or women, and it doesn't matter what side of what your preference is. You're going to choose, you're going to have those things because people are people and we do things,
Right.
And so that there was just things where you could go like, oh, yeah, that was me. But I want to get to Steve, who you were dating an older man than you and a Vietnam veteran who had PTSD. And I went through a stage of dating older dudes as a younger girl. And Nancy kind of slapped me over the head a few times and said, that will be enough of that. I'm your mother, and that's not happening. I should be dating that guy.
Good for you.
Mom. No. I mean, it was. We had some lively conversations. Everybody's like, how do you and your mom work together? Well, we know when to call each other's, like, that's enough of that.
Yes, right.
But this relationship, like no matter what was going on, was this constant through the book and through your life, and it was about the it was like about the communication that you wanted. So he kind of fulfilled your expectations and then did the exact opposite.
Right, exactly, in every other way.
Yeah.
There was disappointment, but the one thing that he did extremely well, and which I so hungered for, was that he was able to elicit, provoke my story out of me, and I so much needed that, and, you know, I just felt incredibly indebted to him and was blind to most everything else for a very long time. So I forgave him those other things he could not do, and it actually helped me grow as a human, you know, and looking at somebody who was really so ravished and crushed by experience, to have patience around that. And I do have that now, you know. I've carried that forward out of that relationship. But yeah, I mean, I guess finally what did it for me was that I felt as though too much had been lost, and I really, really needed all of those other things that were not there.
You know, did it ever occur, or does it even occur to women? Like, men have a whole bunch of women, and they have women for specific purposes. This one can cook, that one cleans really well, that one's good in bed, kind of thing. That women are exactly the same, but psychologically and through history, we're not supposed to have a bunch of men. So we don't have the man who's really good at fixing the car, the gentle one here that speaks well, the other one that's good in bed. Because then we get to be a slut.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, we are branded. You know, it's still the scarlet letter
I know.
over again, right?
You know,
I mean,
so
we're still
really
walking around like, you can't do that. And it's like, well,
yes, we can.
But I am.
But
get over it.
Yeah, it's. I think. Well, we all kind of. That's how partnerships are and friendships. Like, you know, there's friends that you know, like, okay, everybody has a limitation of what or who, you know, that's how friendships and relationships are, you know.
Right.
You know, it's like that way, and once you understand that about someone, then you know who they are, and it's actually more respectable in a way, in some ways. It is. Yeah. But he also was going through PTSD, and that's a really big thing that I think a lot of people are going through, you know.
Right.
I know I went through it when we went through a series of wildfires that we were in. And I do, you know, you remember that. I was like, I'm very much like, I'll get things done throughout any disaster, and then later I get weird.
Yeah, it's a 2 to 3 day thing.
It's a and
then boom.
And so there's, through life, I've recognized that I will, you know, in any disaster, call me. I will be really good. After the disaster, expect me to crumble and be weird for a few days. Yeah, maybe to a week.
Right.
And when it comes to like Vietnam and our military coming home through situations, it's a very difficult thing. We lived in 29 Palms, which is outside Joshua Tree National Park, and the guy behind our house came home, and him and his wife had a fight, and somebody cut someone's ear off.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much, and this isn't like, I don't think he was raised or was actually necessarily a domestic violent person, but it can escalate into these levels. And you did a lot reading your memoir, Broken Hole, everybody. Reading it, you really tried really hard to go to therapy and all these different things, and that's a hard road. It's a hard road when someone's going through that, and to know, then you start questioning how long can step out of it, man, and like, where is that part?
Right.
Where does the healing process happen, and do you want that healing process? And maybe you want it, but maybe they're stuck in comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah, which I believe was the case for him. it was just easier to remain there instead of stirring everything up and trying to unravel it. But yeah, so much I wanted something definitive, a measure of, okay, we've accomplished this, or this is no longer going to recur. We're not going to backslide into this thing, but that's not the nature of relationships either. It's always gray and kind of ethereal and slip sliding, and you have these conversations and you hope that somebody understands you and say, okay, this is a really big deal to me, that when you do that, it really bothers me, and to bridge that over into a behavior change, or even a modicum of a behavior change or something. So much I wanted to quantify this in some way, or say, okay, we've got out the ruler now. We are 3 steps away from that now, and it was never the case, and it never is. So it comes back down to, what can you accept from someone? And, okay, given the fact that probably there's going to be a recurrence of this particular behavior, is this going to be okay with me when it's not been okay before? So,
we are still animals, and
right.
we are exactly what nature intended us to
Hear
be.
me roar, sorry.
No, we are really still animals, and we have fight or flight behaviors.
Exactly.
And when things blow up, when things get crazy, when things are tense and stressful, you don't always think before you act. You degenerate.
Don't look at me like that.
Into fight or flight.
Right.
Because that's our actual real nature, and people don't like to hear that, but that is really how it is. It's survival by either fighting. Take your choice. You're going to fight to the end, or you're going to leave. You're going to bail. You're going to fight or flight. That is our real true nature as animals on this planet. And even though we're educated, when things get crazy and people are stressed out and things are happening, our gut nature is fight or flight.
Right. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. I think your book just really gets people to get into the nitty-gritty, as I said, even on my personal Facebook. We're going to get in the nitty-gritty of it because, at the end of the day, we all want love. And we all put up those boundaries to not have that love. We're all learning lessons at a different time. So it's interesting. You can meet someone that you're good to be with, but you may grow, they may not, or, not understand each other's growth. So you could fall in and out of love just over who's moving faster than the other or something,
Or whether or not they slurp their coffee.
That's annoying.
Or eat while you're on the phone with them.
See, but then that becomes all the petty grievances, right? But then, I don't know. Where do you go from that? I mean, if you truly loved and cared, can you handle those petty grievances? Or do you eventually, you like them at the beginning and then maybe not, and then later you learn,
sometimes
start to learn about yourself going, I can't handle that kind of thing.
It's cute, and then suddenly it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, through my dating career, apparently
that's a good
career. I'm just going to say no. It just you just go on this and especially once you're used to being with someone, you think that you're just in that mode. I ended up breaking up with people on holidays, Christmas, Valentine's Day, New Year's, all of it, every holiday, birthdays. It just happened. And it was just okay, I can't do this and then you have to do the big family thing. The family thing, that's the crazy thing. The family, meeting the family, and
meeting
then
the family,
that
explaining
can make
to
or
the family.
break. Sometimes the family could be really cool, and then some of it, you could run.
That's why you broke up on holidays,
You
because
run.
holidays is, oh, you're going to meet mom and dad. You're
Hell
like,
no.
okay, bye-bye.
No, I'm out of it. But mom and dad could be really cool, and sometimes you end up friends with them for the rest of your life.
That
you
wasn't
know?
the point.
No.
Right.
No.
Right.
You broke up on just day before holidays or on holidays because you got cold feet.
I'm like,
Because sometimes people move faster than you wanted to. That's all.
I didn't last with anybody longer than
I
a
would
year
just
and a half.
I would hear the phone and go dun 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 dun, and boom, break up.
You come on a show with two people that are really bad at relationships, other than one of the mother-daughter team. We're actually really good at relationships, just not, I suppose we're both weird that way. Like, we just don't care. Like, we just want to go do our thing in parks and, go photograph animals and stuff. But but I do care. I mean, you do care. I've had some really tender, amazing relationships that I gave my entire heart and being, is in, you do.
But then he slurped his coffee.
No, then I met his family, which was the Clampets. No.
Oh, please, you said that.
I did. Anyway, sorry. This happens. It happens. But how do you know, the one thing, too, going in your memoir, you talk about, okay, so you've got Steve, you're dealing with the PTSD thing and the hot, cold, and you're dealing also with having a child. And also, at that time when your ex-husband was alive, you're dealing with the family thing there. I mean, that was a lot to handle, that balance. Are you feeling rested now? I'm just saying.
Yes, that's a really good word. Unburdened is another one.
Yeah,
How about free?
And are you going to write some more? Because you're a really excellent writer, and it was just a joy to read someone's book that doesn't have a bunch of typos and stupid things in there, and just really get to the heart of it, get right to the point. It was fun to read and tender. Like there, I mean, it's heartfelt, and I think you had a really, because you were so straight up, it's like you're on the ride with you, and I think it was just so well done.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Really, you're really a good writer, and I know you've studied a lot and you teach it. You do all a lot in that sphere. Are you going to do any more?
Yes, I'm working on some things right now, some short stories, and maybe working on a nonfiction book, completely nonfiction, not about me personally, perhaps. Still, that's in its infancy stage right now, but I have a vested interest in psychic and clairvoyance and so I was been doing some research about how society sees psychics and clairvoyance through time. How do people in general see them? There's always the skeptic and the burnings of the oracles, the people at the stake, and et cetera, And then there's today, and how is that where we have these hotlines, 1-800, call a psychic or something like that. So, but I'm still doing research on that. It's still being formed in my mind, and then I have fiction, which is my first love. That was what I got my degree in many years ago, and so I'm working on some short stories, and so I have some ideas, and things are percolating, and
cool. I'm excited about the clairvoyant side. Nancy and I have had a lot of experience in that. In fact, we have a resident psychic on our show.
But you know that is Hot Mama Babruska.
Yes.
I can tell you whatever you want to know. It might not be the answer, but it will be true. You got question, you give to me, I answered. What's the question? You go.
Okay. Come on, Jane. Give Hot Mama Babushka a question.
Why you laugh?
know, that's our fun psychic here, Hot Mama Babushka. But
yes.
do you have a question for her?
Oh, so you're serious?
Yeah, why not?
Yes, very serious. Oh, don't laugh at psychics.
She'll
They
spit
come
on me
and
if I laugh at her.
You ask Dionne Warwick, she can smack your tushy.
What shall I ask?
Yeah.
Let's see. When will I be finished with my next book?
Oh, your next book. Probably, I would say, you give you to October. This year, 2019, October.
Very good.
Right on. Hey, get going, man. That's good.
Yeah,
Jane.
really.
Get typing, man. Get typing fast. Get those fingers flying. I like this. By the way, we've done a lot of shows that are with psychics, and I mean, it got crazy. And it was really interesting because we've had a lot of experience. We've had experience with friends who are psychic. And, yeah, if you ever need any people to talk to, let me know. I know you've done a lot of classes. You talk about that in your memoir, too. But, yeah, no, it's about understanding energy, man, and life.
Exactly.
And tapping into that. And is it real scientifically? And I think there's science versus the cloth, but it's coming together.
It really is. Yeah, I believe that too.
It's coming together. We just have to keep learning stuff, and keep us posted. I want to know. I want to know when that comes out. And
October. I told you.
Yeah. And look up Jamie Clark, Jamie, Jamie Clark. Very incredredly good clairvoyant medium. We've had him on a number of shows, and Mark Ireland too. He's not a clairvoyant, but he's a specialist and has written on it. And his dad was a very famous psychic that used to be on the Steve Allen show. And it's interesting. And we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot, and we've learned through meditation how much you can see. And so I always wonder, like, how much of that is true. And then when I really go back to it, I always go, there's no explanation other than that.
Right.
That's that. That's that. It's true. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fun chatting with you and fun reading your memoir. And it's fascinating. It makes you think. It really makes you think and look at where we're going in life, too. So everyone, again, go get it. The book is called Broken Whole. Very good title, by the way.
Thank you.
That.
Thank you.
Very good. And by Jane Binns. Again, it's BINNS. And you can go to her website, janebinnswrites.com. She's on Facebook and Twitter as well. And, of course, you can get on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, all those great online stores. But go connect with her on her website, janebinnswrites.com. We want to thank everyone for joining us on the show today. I know we were going to have Dr. Brenner on the show today, too. He has laryngitis. So he will be on our show January 25th.
I could have told you that.
I know, Mama Babushka.
I know,
she
so
knows
weird.
everything.
She's such a nag.
She's such a brat. We will be back on Friday for our Big Blend Radio second Friday Food, Wine, and Travel Show with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We're going to talk about the island getaway of Anacortes in Washington State.
Cool.
And we're going to Chobe National Park and Victoria Falls in Botswana. Good show.
Nice.
So keep up with us at BigBlendRadio.com. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jane. We're going to play a song called Come Home. It's from one of our favorite musicians, Borgo. And you can go to borgoband.com, everyone. It's from his album, Be Kind. It is one of the best albums we've heard through 2018 and had the pleasure of having him on the show twice in 2018. More to come. We have some videos coming out with his music as well. But, again, borgoband.com. Here it is, Come Home. Thanks so much, Jane.
Thank you very much.
You take care.
Take care.
You too. All right.
Happy dating.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Come home, come home, come home. Do not lay down alone. You're on my mind. You're out of sight, baby. You light up my life. You got a You're all I see when I close my eyes. My sky, you're the brightest star. Come home, come home, come home. Oh, do not lay down alone. You're on my mind, you're out of sight. Yeah, baby, you light up my night. That old wind, it tried to blow you too far out to sea. And he may bend you, but he'll never know you. And he'll come swimming back to me. Oh, come home, come home. Come home. How do I lay down alone? You're on my mind, you're out of sight. Yeah, baby, you light up my life. You know